World of Warcraft is one of those games that will always be growing in size. Over the years we've seen some great improvements such as LFD and LFR, better trading systems, improved combat and just so many more awesome features. But there are many features which players have always wanted to be in the game which aren't. There are many expansions to come, so there is a chance that we'll see some of these desired features in the expansions, but we just don't know when or if this will ever happen. So here are the top 5 most desired features by players in World of Warcraft. Number 5. More bag space. Now in Warlords of Draenor they did do a lot of improvements to bags, such as removing heirlooms and toys from the bags in order to save a lot of space. Doing this also included some quest items which made an awesome improvement to the way that we can save space. The only problem is it didn't fully solve the issue of bag space. You still have players who use flasks, and you have crafting materials, account bound items, and of course you have the all important soul bound items. Now the way that you could possibly deal with this, in my opinion, is to have a system which deals with all these sorts of items, similar to the way that it did with the timeless Isle coins. You could use regions and materials in this way to be stored in a sort of currency, so they are easily accessible whenever you go. Also, there should be an easier way to store transmogs, as these can take up a lot of space in your bank, especially if you have multiple sets. So obviously it would be great for this not to include greys, as they are obviously sold as stores. Also, we can't just keep making bags bigger, as eventually it will fill the screen when you click the B button, which would not be good. And also we can't just make the original bag bigger, as it is hotwired into the game engine of World of Warcraft, and that is not an easy thing to change. So yeah, it's just something which hopefully can be improved eventually, but yeah, may not happen. Hopefully it will, and I am certainly one of the players who really wants more bag space. Number 4. The Dance Studio. Now this has been something that players have been wanting for a while, and it was confirmed a few years ago at BlizzCon. So it was introduced in Warlords of Draenor in a fashion by being a building in the garrisons, but to make it worth putting into the game it would need some sort of gameplay element. For example, it would need something similar to barbershops, where you could actively customise your character and see while you are doing it. Also maybe something like pet battles. Instead it would be basically an epic dance-off, so you can choose your own dancers and then basically take other people on and show them your skills. That would be a pretty cool addition to the game, and I personally would enjoy seeing it. Number 3. Professions are outdated. Now this is the only feature which remains in the game from the original World of Warcraft which has not been redesigned. You can, since Mr. Pandaria, using for example mining, just stay in one area and level up without having to even move. Not like back in the day where you had to go from area to area in order to level up. The interface itself is just so cramped. Some of the times you can't really find the crafting recipe you're looking for, and if you get too high of a level you can't find it as it is grayed out, which is incredibly hard to see, and it is also extremely cramped. It's just awful. They will need to some place in the future do a revamp for professions, probably like an interface design and the way that they are trained, and I personally would really welcome this update, and sure a lot of people would as well. Number 2. Legacy servers. Now these would be realms which are completely dedicated to older versions of WoW. For example, you would have a few servers for the original vanilla Warcraft, the original Warcraft games. You would have some for the Burning Crusade, some for Wrath, some for Catherine, maybe even some for Mist and Pandaria. Blizzard stated that we, the players, don't need it, or we don't want it apparently even, which is bullshit. A lot of players would absolutely love this feature, but the reason that they say we don't want it is because there were so many issues in the game back then that it would be unenjoyable for us. Some of us would absolutely love be able to look back in time in order to see what World of Warcraft was like back in the day. Now for the players who have recently joined after Cataclysm, it will be great for them to be able to go back and see what Azeroth was like before Deathwing swung his almighty wing at Azeroth and annihilated the world. Another problem with this would be perhaps fragmenting the player base, making them go to different... It would basically make players go to a lot of different places, and it would completely fragment everybody. You'd have loads of people in Legacy, loads of people in the original one, and the original game just wouldn't be as good as it is today. Personally, I would love to see this feature, as I am interested in going back and seeing older WoW, but it may not be as easy as everybody thinks. And number 1. Scaling for older content. Here we go. This is what the most requested feature in all of World of Warcraft, and personally it is a freaking cool idea. So this would be, you will be able to reduce your player's level and gear in order to fully experience all the content. For example, if you went to Asquan Citadel, you would be able to scale down to level 80 with a group of other people and experience that at its full if you were unable to originally. Now, nowadays when you are leveling, you only need to complete around 75% of a zone before you can move on to the next higher level one. And doing this scaling system would allow players to literally level up wherever they damn pleased. So basically people would be able to level up in starting areas eventually, which would be pretty cool. I mean, I'd like to venture off on the path now and again because it does get boring doing the same areas over and over again. It would be based on which area you're in. So if you step into an area which is level 69 to 72, for example, you would scale down to that level if you are above that. This is a pretty cool, would be a really awesome feature. Also, it would include scaling down loots as well. So if you go into a dungeon that is basically level 70, you will get drops which are level 70, obviously. Even if it's not meant to be level 70, the drops will scale to be level 70 gear. This was supposed to actually be introduced into the game in patch 5.4, but it was canned for reasons. Personally, for me, I personally don't like the idea of scaling down constantly, permanently, if you know what I mean. Where you walk into a zone and you instantly go down, because that would make it absolutely pointless of leveling up. Personally, I'd like it to be an option where you could click something and then you get scaled down. That I would absolutely love. But just like general scaling down where you walk to an area, it just scales you down even if you don't want it to, not so much. That is it for this top 5. So if you've enjoyed, don't forget to punch the like button, leave a comment down below, or subscribe. Also, you may wish to follow me on Twitter, which is linked down below as always. So, like I say, I've been X.Corx. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye for now.